the last thing we stopped, I was the one actually talking about how I interacted with somebody who was trying to explain the reason why I can discipline my child the way I was disciplined. And the conversation ended with, were you happy with your parent the way they disciplined you? And today, where did it lead you to? Have you become a better person than you think you could have become? So that was how. So continue with your thought, please.
Okay, so like you said too, parenting issue is always while growing up, we learn some patterns that as we grow, we need to unlearn and relearn. These patterns are embedded in us unconsciously. But for us to be able to parent effectively and parent the 21st century child, I always tell people the same way, cannot parent the same way you were parented, except you have 21st century mom too, or dad. But during my time, the way I was parented, there are some parenting, styles I can't pick from my parents. Rape. With rape cases, they expect you to be silent. Rape cases are so underreported. It is recently that I see people coming out. Thank God for social media. Social media has its own, as much as it has its own ills, it has its own, advantage too. Because people are now speaking up. You see, in fact, there's a group that was invited to rape victims group, sort of, where you can talk, you can, share your experience with people, how it happened, and nobody will victimize you. So people at the social media is helping people to speak out and speak up. You understand? The same thing with domestic violence. The culture is changing. I see it changing. A lot of cases that used to go underreported or even unreported before, like the cases of children being maltreated, mates being maltreated by their caregivers. These days, I see it coming. In fact, you see somebody that catches, there has been several videos on the internet that a caregiver will just be beating a maid, maltreating a maid somehow, and people will take a video of it and post it on the internet, and the culprit will be apprehended. It wasn't like that back then. So it's a culture that can be stemmed, that can be stopped, but it is a process. Now, like we were saying earlier, for children that have experienced domestic violence, they can be helped. They can be helped. They can be helped to recover. The first thing is to help them feel safe. If the DV, the domestic abuse, is still going on, the first thing is to help them feel safe. It is the insecure and unsafe environment that triggered something in them in the first place. So the first thing is to create a loving, secure, and safe and healthy environment for them. I tell women, if it means you living, if the domestic violence is life-threatening and it means you leaving your home, please leave for a while. Nobody is saying divorce your husband. Some women are so attached to their husband that they prefer the suffering, they prefer the beating than leave their husband. Okay, allow for a time of sanity. Leave for a while. Leave for a while. Probably the man will come back to his senses and get his senses back and start doing things right. But for the sake of your children, like you said earlier, you made a statement that domestic violence has always been thought of in respect to adults. Yeah. People don't consider children, but the effect is greater in children because they carry this ill over the years.
And it transfers to the next generation.
Yes, on the next generation, and it affects their future in so many ways. So for the sake of the same, most of them will give you excuses of, I can't live for the sake of my children. Those children you are saying you can't live because of them, you are actually making life worse for them, endangering their lives by not living. So the advantage of living actually outweighs the disadvantage of not living. So you live, create a secure environment. If it's possible, you talk with your spouse, if you can talk with your spouse, if you guys can go for, counseling, if you can go for counseling, it's beautiful.
For
the domestic violence.
What in a situation where the man refused, because most of the men are so egocentric that they don't think there's need for them to go for counseling because they believe that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not the problem, you are the problem. If you have behaved well, if you are behaving well, I wouldn't. So how would you handle that kind of situation?
Exactly. As I said, you explore counseling first. If the man, most of our African men, don't, that's why therapy doesn't thrive in Nigeria, in Africa. We don't believe anything is wrong. As a matter of fact, we do the blame game. You don't believe something is wrong with you, you believe it's your spouse that has a problem. But by the time you go for counseling, you actually see that you also are contributing to whatever is happening in that home. So when a man is egocentric and doesn't want to go for counseling, I think the woman should just step aside a little for the sake of those children. If you can, step aside. We are not, people, society, like we said, societal culture will tell you, when you step aside, somebody else, another woman is going to come into your home for the sake of your children. We are talking about the children now. If you can, and as much as you can, protect them. Then while I've seen situations where the woman says, say, I am not financially capable. I can't even get a house. I don't even have where to go to. What do I do in this situation? If it is not life-threatening, if it's life-threatening, please just flee. If I don't just leave, flee. If it's threatening, if the man has started raising, sharp objects at you or doing things that endangers your life, it's better you leave. Now, if it's not life-threatening and you know that you need time to be able to prepare yourself to leave the situation, while you are waiting, talk to your children. Let them know that this is not right. Talk to them, speak to their psyche. You as the mom or whoever is the victim of the abuse, draw your children closer and let them know that whatever the other spouse is doing is not the right thing. So don't internalize it as the right thing. Tell them that abuse, this is abuse. Call it by its name. Whatever is happening in our home is wrong. And that for now you are helpless, and that is how abuse makes people helpless.
Yeah.
And let them know that, see, this is not right. This is not the right way of living. Eventually, when you grow up and somebody wants to do this to you, don't allow that. You start speaking to them. Let them know that it is wrong. While you are still, maybe you are trying to look for a way of escape. Talk to them about boundaries. Tell them, see, the fact that your father is beating me now doesn't mean you should allow yourself to be beaten. I am trying to find a way to get out of this situation. But while we are still here, whatever is happening in our home is not the right thing. Tell them to learn how, teach them, how to stand up for themselves. Teach them, help build and support their self-esteem. This is very necessary because most times victims of domestic violence are people with low self-esteem, sorry to say.
Yes, you are right.
And with the little self-esteem they have, that little self-esteem is being battered and, continually being punctured in the home by the perpetrator.
Yeah.
So the little self-esteem they have left, you have to teach your child, you have to help their self-esteem. Build it up while you are waiting to leave, the situation. Build up their self-esteem. Tell them, see, nobody have the right to handle you anyhow. Nobody have the right to touch you in uncomfortable places. Nobody has the right to beat you. When you grow up and a man is beating you, tell the man no, or you leave the man. If you're in a relationship that is abusive, leave it. So talk to them. Tell them about boundaries.
Let me ask you a question. All right. There are people who go into marriage. Before they go into marriage, they have seen all the signs, all the red flags, but yet they go into it because they think that this person can change. Is there any hope that probably is there any statistics that show that people that go into such marriage, maybe sometimes their partner changes? Is there any statistics like that to show?
A leopard most times, always, a leopard cannot change the skin. An adult is the most difficult person. You can still change a child. In my adage, they will say it is very difficult to bend a dry fish.
A dry fish.
When you try to bend it, it will break. You understand? It will break. It is it's just a form of self-deception for you to think somebody will change. I have seen people change. I have seen people get married, but it is like 5% out of 100 people.
And like I always tell people, I always tell people, anybody who did not change to have you can never change to keep you.
That is it. Marriage doesn't change people. It is their self-development, their personal development that changes them. if the person doesn't even realize something is wrong with him or her in the first place, it can't change. The person cannot change.
That is
Marriage is not a game changer. It
that is
doesn't change people.
self-realization. Now you're talking about self-realization.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So, like I said, marriage will not change people. Yeah, you want to ask a question?
No, go on, please.
Okay. So, marriage will not change people. If your spouse, in fact, as small as raising his or her hand against you in a moment of anger, please watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Don't say, okay, it's just a one-off situation. At least it doesn't do it often. That one-off situation will lead to a constant situation in the home. That means the problem of that person is lack of emotional intelligence. The person doesn't have a grasp on his emotion. And it's a process for you to be able to do that. And it's more difficult in adults. Like we said, self-realization, there is a series of process to be able to, have a grasp on your emotion, being able to control your emotion. In the heat of anger, how do you react to anger? And a parent that cannot do that too will pass the same across to the children. The children too you can't give what you don't have. In law, they will say you can't expect to put something on nothing and expect it to stand. You cannot give what you don't have. If you don't have emotional intelligence, you really can't pass it across, except your child now grows and does a personal development.
Even the Bible said, such as I have, give I unto you. Such as I have, give I unto you.
Exactly. So once you don't have it, you can't give it. And once you have, you only give what you have.
Yes.
If you have emotional baggages, if you have a lot of emotional baggages, that's what you transfer to your children. You transfer the yelling, you transfer the screaming.
Most of the time, these perpetrators of domestic violence seems to be very nice, very smooth. They have a way of attracting ladies, attracting the kind of man they want. They I don't know how they have this personality that's very attractive, but deep down, it's like it's only the clothes and the personality that you have as something to give. Beyond that, the guy is empty.
Yeah. The truth is that it's not as if they are not nice. Some of them are very nice. Some of them are not even pretending about being, they are really actually nice. Like I said earlier, it's because a part of their life has not been developed. They have refused to develop their emotions. They have refused to become emotionally intelligent. It is called, as we have intelligence quotient, we have EQ, emotional quotient. Their EQ, yes, their IQ may be developed. You may see a professor still battering the wife in the house. They have developed IQ, but their EQ is underdeveloped. So it's not as if some of them are very nice, but they do not develop that part of them.
Madam, I think this is where we have to draw the curtain for today. Honestly, I wish I just want to go on, but the time. Hello, viewers. I have been actually talking to Temitope Oluwatoye. In fact, you have listened to her yourself. You have heard the content she has spit out to every one of us to listen to. She's the founder of Transformational Parenting Academy. I think I will have to put your phone number if you don't mind. People might want to reach out to you to get to you. She's a Transformational Parenting Academy, and also she's the author of Parenting the Smart Way. So thank you for viewing.